tonight.
Aaron, I hope I've gone from your biggest fantasy to your worst nightmare.
A Saskatoon judge hears victim impact statements and sentencing arguments in the case of a former private school coach. Also, a warm winter is helping Saskatchewan's cattle producers save big money. Plus, empowering Indigenous women and girls on the second annual National Ribbon Skirt Day.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Thursday, January 4th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thank you for watching. There were two high-profile sentencing hearings in Saskatchewan today. We begin in Saskatoon with the case of a former coach who admitted to sexually abusing one of his students. It's all part of an ongoing abuse scandal at a private Christian school. Jesse Anton has the latest.
Bernard pled guilty in October to the sexual assault and sexual exploitation of a student at what's now known as Legacy Christian Academy in Saskatoon. The former coach was in court for his sentencing hearing Thursday, and so was Jennifer Beaudry.
I'm not sugarcoating it. I'm not going to brush it off like, oh, well, that was a long time ago. Yeah, it was a long time ago, but I was a child then.
The offenses happened more than a decade ago. Bernard began pursuing Beaudry when she was just 13. He was 32, and she prepared this victim impact statement.
As for any permanent or long-term disability, sure, my physical body works fine, but I will forever be unable to take back the innocence that you stole from my 13-year-old self, or completely undo the damage done on all levels of my being.
Thursday in court, with Bernard before her for the first time in 11 years, she confidently read her statement, looking up at him nearly the entire time. The Crown is seeking 2 years less a day in jail, plus 3 years probation. That's on top of sex offender counseling and a no-contact order for Beaudry and her family. The defense wants 6 months plus 2.5 years probation, arguing Bernard was experiencing marital problems at the time, has genuine remorse, and has offered Beaudry $10,000, money she has no interest in taking.
And you can't pay people back emotional damage, you can't pay people back sleepless nights, you can't pay people back that stuff. But you can pay people back money. And there's real money that leaves the pockets of victims.
Bernard apologized in court, saying he's felt overwhelming guilt for many years. And in a surprise twist, he asked to be taken into custody as he awaits his sentence.
I feel really good right now. Literally 30 seconds ago, I just watched Aaron get arrested in court and taken into custody, so that feels really, really good. I didn't actually expect to see that today.
Bernard is set to be sentenced on January 18th, and whatever the judge decides, Beaudry says she won't let that ruling define her healing. Jesse Anton, CBC News, Saskatoon.
In Regina, a Court of King's Bench judge has reserved his decision on the sentence for a former junior hockey coach guilty of sexual assault and assault. Alexander Kwan has that story.
Bernard Bernie Lynch will have to wait a few more weeks to find out how long his jail sentence will be. The former junior hockey coach was found guilty in December of a historic sexual assault and assault that dates back to August 1988. At the time of the assault, Lynch was the newly hired assistant coach of the Western Hockey League's Regina Pats. Lynch was attempting to recruit a teen prospect when he inappropriately touched and hit the player. During the trial, Lynch testified in his own defense, denying anything ever happened. But after a week-long trial, Court of King's Bench Justice Peter Bergbush said he was left with no reasonable doubt about Lynch's guilt. On Thursday, the complainant, whose identity is protected under a publication ban, delivered an emotional impact statement. He described growing up on the ice and having the dream of becoming a professional hockey player. The complainant said, quote, "Hockey was my life. 2 days in August changed all of that. Bernie Lynch changed all of that." That lasting impact of the assault is why Crown Prosecutor Chris White urged the judge to deliver a 3-year sentence in a federal penitentiary. Defense attorney Andrew Hitchcock says that a sentence in the provincial system is much more appropriate. That's why he urged the judge to deliver a 18-month to 2-year long term. Hitchcock also says that the sentencing will likely not be the end of this case.
He understands that the court has made his ruling and he respects the process. So I'm sure he will file an appeal and go through the normal channels. But until then, we have to show due respect for what the judge is doing. The judge, he had a trial, the judge found a verdict, and now it's my job to try and persuade the judge to give him the best sentence I can.
The conclusion of Lynch's sentencing is scheduled for later this month. Until that is handed down, the former junior hockey coach remains free. Alexander Kwan, CBC News, Regina.
The court case for former Saskatchewan Party MLA Ryan Domator was up in Regina Provincial Court this morning. Domator was scheduled to make his first appearance for charges related to soliciting sexual services. The MLA for Cutknife Turtleford was not present. A representative appeared on his behalf. The case has been adjourned to February 1st. Domator was charged back in November and immediately booted from the Sask Party caucus. Domator will be pursuing alternative measures for his case moving forward. That typically means he will attend a restorative justice education program known as John School. It's the second annual National Ribbon Skirt Day. The occasion was created after a little girl from here in Saskatchewan wore a ribbon skirt to a school event and was told it didn't qualify as a formal dress. Emily Brass has more on this special day from Winnipeg.
It was a celebration of Indigenous women. Hundreds marked National Ribbon Skirt Day with a round dance, their colorful, silky skirts flowing with every step.
You put it on and it just feels empowering.
The Soaring Eagles drove the dance with their powerful beats. The women come together seeking healing around the drum.
We've been told, men are believers that women aren't supposed to be around the big drum. However, we kind of broke that barrier. You can hit that drum as hard as you can and yell at the same time, and that just does this like a release of like all types of negative energy.
The drummers also express themselves by making ribbon skirts. So does Angela Lavalley.
Everybody will do their hem different. Everybody lays out their ribbon skirts different, but the essential piece, it all comes from here.
She puts positive intentions into her skirts, even when her sewing doesn't go as planned.
The mistakes that I make, not only at a personal level, but also the mistakes that I'm making when I'm doing this skirt is a reminder that we can always restart and rebuild.
Organizer Sandra Delaron says this Ribbon Skirt Day is an uplifting moment of joy and mutual support.
There has been a high incidence of violence against Indigenous women, girls, and gender diverse people. So we wanted to be able to celebrate who we are.
National Chief Cindy Woodhouse says holding a round dance in a bustling urban shopping mall is a good step towards reconciliation.
The past 150 years have not been kind to us when it comes to residential schools, to day schools, to the 60s scoop. And our women are so strong because they're always the backbone of our families, and I'm just happy to see so many gathered here today.
All the smiles seem to echo that thought, with many already thinking about next year. Emily Brass, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Regina homeless advocates are calling for immediate funding for a 24-hour warming center at Carmichael Outreach. Carmichael says it's aiming to open a warming center that would run from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. 7 days a week. It wants to open it as soon as possible and run it until May. But it needs $350,000 to do that. Part of that would be to hire 5 people to work in the warming center. But advocates say the homeless population can't wait, that some people have died over the past few months.
I feel strongly that they could open now. And it just comes down to us working together as a community to pressure all levels of government to seek out further funding. It just comes down to political will, and I think that we would love nothing more than to work in coordination. We have a lot of volunteer groups that are working.
We're working with partners, and we are trying to get it done as fast as possible, and we do already have a plan and stuff in place, so if someone did just donate $350,000 to us, we're pretty much ready to go with the whole hiring process and just getting the train going.
In a statement, the NDP social services critic said if the Premier and the Social Services Minister aren't going to do something about the Sask Party's taxes on food and fuel or the SIS program, the least they can do is support this warming space. Carmichael Outreach says it has had conversations with the province and that it's received some advice. Snowmobilers and skiers will tell you they're not really enjoying the brown winter. They're hoping for snow and weather to keep it frozen. But the balmy temperatures are actually helping Saskatchewan's cattle producers save big money. Jason Warwick has more.
Garrett Pullitz says his cattle are happy, and so is he.
We've been enjoying the warm weather, though. It's been very good.
This is not a typical January day in central Saskatchewan. Much of the province experienced record high temperatures throughout December, with many daytime highs above the freezing mark. For Pullitz and the province's 12,000 other producers, they're saving thousands of dollars a day on feed, heating, and other costs.
We can use a lot less cost-efficient feeds, and they utilize their energy levels at a different rate when the weather's warm, so they can stay healthy and maintain their body condition off way less high energy feeds and stuff like that. So we go through a lot, half the straw, half the bedding, half the work, half the employee manpower, like a lot of different positives. Less fuel, less everything.
The head of the Saskatchewan Cattlemen's Association says it's been extraordinary. Keith Day says with fall grazing areas still available, it can save producers up to $4 a day per animal on feed costs. With a herd of 700 cattle, that's thousands of dollars daily.
Well, I think for most producers, it's been quite a blessing. It's saving lots of money for, compared to a normal winter.
But the warmer weather has not come with snow or even much rain, and the financial savings of winter could be overshadowed by continuing drought this summer. The provincial cattle herd sits at roughly 2 million heads, and it's been significantly reduced each of the past few years as watering costs have soared.
Well, we have basically been in a drought since 2019, so we don't even remember what moisture is in this area. So it's going to get scary.
Pullitz and others say this balmy weather and the cost savings will still not make up for the 3 years of drought and losses that they've suffered here, but he says for now, they'll take what they can get. Jason Warwick, CBC News, bigger.
Anonymous tips from the public have helped Regina Crime Stoppers clear 44 cases in 2013. The organization held its year-in review this morning, and while tips were up, the amount of property, drugs, and cash seized was down because of the kind of crimes that people reported.
Although the dollar value may not be as high as in previous years, we really have to think about the victims who were told that their case was concluded, that somebody was arrested, and really just their faith that somebody cared about their incident and that work had gone on after the fact to be able to provide some resolution. And so I think that that's incredible, and I can't thank Crime Stoppers enough. I can't thank the public enough.
18 arrests were made and 28 charges were laid last year through tips made to Crime Stoppers. More than $6,000 was approved in rewards for that information. Well, seeing Saskatoon and so much of Saskatchewan this bare in January is never going to get less weird. Another warm day well above normal in the Bridge City, but change is coming. But how much? Ethan will have the answer in his forecast after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Wireless phone plans are about to get more expensive for some Canadians. Rogers says some customers can expect to see a price hike coming in weeks. Bell is reportedly doing the same in February. Anisa Dari reports.
The prices Canadians pay to use their mobile phones could be rising. It's not going over well for some.
This is insane because we're already paying for way too much.
Any increases, right? There's enough expenses going on right now.
Horrific. I think this is unacceptable, especially in the current financial crisis.
I can't pay any more for Rogers.
Rogers Communications has confirmed some plans are going up. Customers who aren't on a contract could see price hikes of up to $9 more a month. Marketers say this could be a way to encourage customers to lock in.
So in that way, the customer maybe wins and the telecommunication provider wins in the sense that they're not going to lose the customer.
After its merger with Shaw went through, Rogers' CEO said prices are going to come down. But it's not just Rogers hiking. Some Bell customers have told us their prices are going up too. Bell didn't respond to CBC News questions. While Statistics Canada reports have said mobile service costs have dropped recently, Canadian mobile costs are sometimes ranked as pricier than other countries.
It could be cheaper to go to the US, go to France, get a cell phone there, pay the roaming fee, have an international number in Canada, and that you would pay less after all or overall. So I think that reminds us that we need to do more or be able to think differently about what we're paying for and why we're paying for it.
Rogers has pointed out that it's investing a lot in its networks and that it offers a low-cost $25 plan. But that low-cost plan is only available to some Canadians, such as those on social assistance programs. When the Rogers and Shaw merger was approved, the government said costs should come down or it would take action. But that deal did not appear to include anything to stop Rogers from charging some Canadians $9 extra each month. Anis Hidari, CBC News, Calgary.
This weather update is brought to you by Crestview Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, proud member of the Capital Automotive Group.
And our weather specialist, Ethan Williams, joins me now. For people who have been waiting and waiting for the snow to arrive, you have some good news.
Yes, it is finally arriving. We saw some shots earlier from Saskatoon there. There is indeed snow on the ground, a little bit arriving today. And it is this clipper system here developing in east central and northeastern Alberta, eventually going to be moving into the province. And in advance of that, we're getting a little bit of cloud cover. And we're also getting a little bit of fog as well. And Environment Canada has actually now issued an advisory for places like Moose Jaw and the Outlook area, Kindersley, Rosetown, down to around Swift Current. Kindersley and Swift Current, for instance, right now sitting at less than half a kilometer of visibility. So just a heads up if you're heading out even this evening on the roads. That is expected to continue through the overnight hours and possibly into even tomorrow morning. And that is when our snow is really going to start going as well. This low pressure system out of Alberta, first bringing some snow to western sections of the province, west central and northwestern Saskatchewan, and then that spills its way southeast as we head into early tomorrow morning. Saskatoon beginning to get some snow, as well as portions of the northern grain belt. For Regina and southeastern Saskatchewan, this really doesn't hit us until we get kind of into the later morning hours, mid-morning hours tomorrow. And again, it'll really be intense, I think, mostly in the northern grain belt, but still snowing as we get closer to the supper hour tomorrow before that's finally out of here, but not before another system starts developing out of Alberta, and that's going to be bringing a little bit more snow to particularly southern Saskatchewan, I think is where we're going to see that. The rest of the province staying cloudy, and then high pressure starting to try to clear things out as we get into Monday. So for northern Saskatchewan, we'll start here first. 2 to 4 centimeters for you overnight tonight and into tomorrow. Western sections especially getting that overnight. And then the next system rolling through, only bringing through another centimeter or so. It's south and central again. We could see amounts maybe even a little higher than 5 centimeters just to the north of Saskatoon. Regina maybe upwards of 5 centimeters. The second system rolling in through the weekend, kind of filling in the gaps here where you haven't seen snow in southwestern Saskatchewan. These amounts may be a little bit on the high side, but maybe another 2 to 4 centimeters coming with that. And of course, we talk about temperatures too, a very sharp divide in temperatures through the province, nearly 30 degrees at the moment, and that is likely going to continue. Those colder temperatures dropping further south as that jet stream basically disappears off the screen here over the next few days, and those darker blues start to develop and bring us some colder weather. Just how cold are we talking? Well, to start the next couple of days here, Regina, we're looking not too bad. Again, I've put you at about 5 centimeters of snow at the most with this system tomorrow. Then another 1 to 3 Sunday when we see more seasonal temperatures, and then we drop off as we get into the middle of next week. Saskatoon, similar thing here. I've put you at about 5 centimeters for now. High of -7 tomorrow, so we're not changing all that much. Consider that we have not seen an overnight low at -20 or below that so far this season, Sam, and it looks like we're going to have daytime highs like that next week.
I'd be okay if it wasn't so cold.
Yeah, I could deal with the snow, but
I'm just going to keep whining no matter what happens.
Well, nothing I can do about it.
Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
Well, the Saskatchewan Roughriders have signed American receiver returner Mario Alford to a 1-year contract extension. Super Mario played all 18 games last season, returning 88 punts for 978 yards, and notably 2 punt returns for touchdowns in Week 6 against the Stamps. Alfred ranked third in the league with more than 2,200 all-purpose yards and was named a West Division All-Star. He was set to become a free agent next month. The Riders still have 26 potential free agents up for grabs. Free agency period opens up February 13th at noon Eastern. We'll be back after the break. In many cities across Canada, owning a home is becoming more difficult. But a new project by Habitat for Humanity is helping 6 families achieve that. Valeria Corey-Minocchio reports.
In just a few months, Ines Moret and her 13-year-old daughter will be able to call this building home.
I feel so glad, and for me it's like a new life, and my dreams come true, I would say.
As a single parent, she says being a homeowner won't just improve her life, but her daughter's too.
Without Habitat pour l'Humanité, I was scared that I cannot live in Montreal anymore because of the prices. The rent prices are so high.
Habitat for Humanity Quebec teamed up with construction company Groupe Montoni and the Montoni Foundation to build the project. The foundation put in $300,000. The company is building the project at a reduced cost and also raised an additional $300,000. Habitat launched a fundraising campaign last month, and it also received some funding from the Canada Housing and Mortgage Corporation. The finished product will look like the building just next door. The executive director says this is one way to help tackle the province's housing crisis.
Many years ago, we used to do single home. So this one is unique because it's a six-unit condo. This model is one solution to solve this crisis, because what we see a lot is support and attention for renting.
The idea is to give low-income families access to home ownership. There's no down payment, and selected families have a mortgage with Habitat for Humanity Quebec instead of a bank. Most of that mortgage is interest-free, and their monthly payments are only 30% of their gross household income. Families also have to contribute 500 volunteer hours to the organization.
Becoming a homeowner is a way to build capital, build equity, which obviously brings you financial stability and is something that you can pass down to your children. It also makes families more involved in their community, so it's got a greater social impact.
The nonprofit will stay in touch with the families after they move in this summer with annual financial reviews and helping answer questions about upkeep and maintenance. Meanwhile, Day says the nonprofit wants to do more projects like this, but it also needs help from all levels of government to make it happen. Valeria Corey-Minocchio, CBC News, Montreal.
And Ethan's back with one last look at your weather.
We're getting some of that snow that Montreal has, I think. Regina will be waking up to maybe some flurries tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. This is kind of when the snow getting started will be around -10. Then that light snow continuing through the noon hour around -9. Keep in mind, wind's not going to be too bad here, so visibility not too much of an issue. Looking for light snow already at 8 a.m. in Saskatoon with temperature around -9. That starts tapering off, though, already by the noon hour, and we're pretty much just kind of looking at some flurries and light winds as well. Now, of course, some gray days ahead, but here's a nice, beautiful sunrise that Belinda Duncan captured at Grandview Beach. That's just to the northwest of Regina, with the beautiful snowless lake as well in the background. Sunrise is always looking so nice this time of year, Sam.
So nice. Thanks for that, Ethan.
You bet.
And that is it for us tonight. For News Anytime, you can head to our website, subscribe to our YouTube channel, or download the CBC News app. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great night.